born the only son of a Protestant clergyman and a mentally ill mother named Emily, Carl Jung was an observant child who packed a certain loneliness in his single child status. However, as a result of the isolation, he spent hours observing the adults around him, something that no doubt shaped the later career and work of his introvert and extrovert studies. Carl Gustav Jung was born on July 26, 1875, in Creswil, Switzerland. Carl Jung's father, Paul, developed a failing belief in the power of religion when his mother, Emily, passed away from a mental illness. It was expected that Carl would join the clergy, as the case was with many of his other relatives. Instead, Carl began reading philosophy, which intensified in his teens. He decided not to go with tradition. Instead, he attended the University of Basel. There, he was exposed to numerous fields of study, including biology, paleontology, religion, and archaeology, just before he finally settled on medicine. Jung graduated the University of Basel in the year 1900 and obtained his MD 2 years later from the University of Zurich. While attending the University of Zurich, Carl worked on the staff at Bergeraum Asylum, where he became under the guidance of Eugene Buehler, who laid the groundwork for what is now considered classical studies of mental illness. At the hospital, Jung observed how different words elicit emotional responses from patients. At the hospital, Carl observed how different words elicit emotional responses from patients. He believed repressing subconscious associations around immortal content. These observations led to the way for Carl to develop the term complex to describe the conditions. Carl's growing reputation as a psychologist and his work dealing with the subconscious led him to the ideas of Freud, and later to the man himself. Jung challenged Freud's beliefs around sexuality as the foundation of neurosis. Carl married Emma Rauschenbeck in 1903, and the couple had 5 children and remained together until Emma's death in 1955. Carl died at his home in Zurich on June 6, 1961. However, Emma Rauschenbeck's story is far from finished. One of Switzerland's wealthiest heiresses, she fell in love with Carl Jung, a penniless man and an insane doctor, what many people would call him. Emma's parents encouraged the love match as they wanted to see their daughter happy. She would bring more than enough money to the marriage, and despite Carl's peasant background and his strange career, they were keen on his intelligent and hard-working personality. There was also an allure to having a doctor in the family, one who could attend to the increasingly debilitating symptoms of Emma's father, syphilis, which he contracted during a rare transgression while on a business trip. However, the marriage with Emma was not a closed marriage, as it would seem. Emma tolerated a relationship that Carl had with a lady with the last name Wolf for 30 years. Despite the polyamorous relationship they had, when Emma died, engraved in her stone was, "She was my foundation of my house." And apparently he cried out, "She was a queen." So That's all I got for their life story. Let's move on to his studies. Some signs that you may be an introvert. You feel more comfortable alone. You prefer to write versus talking. You prefer that extra time you have with writing instead of having to sit down and talk to somebody face to face, because with face to face you have to have a comment ready to go. You don't enjoy group projects or anything really to do with group work, or even just being in a group. You don't enjoy that. Feeling tired when socializing. Think of it as a battery, and being out so long, your battery keeps going down and down and down, and to the point where you need to go back home and rest, and then that's your recharge. You're very self-aware, so you realize how long you've been talking, or you realize you sound like, or even you realize that many people have been watching you talk, and it makes you very uncomfortable, especially getting up in front of people. That would make you very uncomfortable if you were an introvert. Now, on the opposite end, being an extrovert. You would be very happy to go out and socialize with anyone. You're very friendly and approachable, which means that you don't have a resting mean face. And people are ready to talk to you. They come up to you and they're okay with explaining things that they wouldn't tell any other people. You love to talk. Talking is like the battery for you. For extroverts, the battery goes up when they talk and socialize. For introverts, it's the opposite. You love new experience, whether it be going on a mission trip with your church or even just trying a new food. Sometimes just new things are good. And you get bored when you're alone, and you tend to text more people and ask, hey, are you free? Do you want to hang out? And stuff like that. However, with introverts, even texting someone, do you want to hang out? You would think of all the possibilities of like all the replies that you could get. As someone who identifies as an introvert, being able to read about where those labels came from was interesting. Learning about Carl Jung and his theories showed more about what type of introvert I am. Though when he first came up with the theory, it wasn't quite as adapted as it is now, but knowing that without him, I probably would have felt more not being as extroverted as my own sisters and stuff like that. I would have felt like kind of outcasted as an introvert because I wouldn't have known that there was actually something related to that being an introvert was normal. I prefer to be able to record an audio like this and not have to talk in front of people or do any public speaking, because I get very nervous and anxious, and I tend to have panic attacks as the date gets closer to the speech that I have to give. From videoing and taking audio chunks of videos, I can actually adapt the video to have less of ums and uhs, and I can have the video give off what I am trying to say, because I think through everything that I am about to say. And because of COVID, I've started to get more anxious around people, and after I got my wisdom teeth out, I developed a lisp, which has also added to my introvert personality, because now I'm worried that people are going to make fun of my lisp and that making fun of people because I never had the lisp before. But in reality, I just can't feel my tongue anymore. So that made me even more introverted, and learning more about Carl Jung and how he shaped the way to science, learning more about people's personalities and how introverts and extroverts are different, and how there are different introverts, and how there's a spectrum of every type of personality of introverts and extroverts, and knowing that there's a label that I can use to explain myself as an introvert is really nice. Having the extra time as an introvert to figure out what I want to say is a really nice thing, because I struggle with knowing what I'm going to say and what I want to say, and being able to cut the video and audio and have it become one singular area of me talking, very calming, as if I were to go up in front of people and talk. It would make me feel very nervous, and I'd probably have a lot of ums and just pauses in my words, as I'm not really good at having my words stay in one sentence. I take a lot of pauses in what I say to think about what I want to say next. So having the extra time is really nice, and knowing that Carl Jung helped the theory of introverts and extroverts allows not only me but other people to not use it as an excuse, but use it as an explanation to explain how people like me aren't really good at conversations. So it was really nice learning about Carl Jung, and I don't know, I just enjoyed learning about his theory and stuff like that. I would also like to point out, as of filming this video, this is the third run through the app that I have, and these cuts and audios were a lot of the ums and uhs and pauses that I took as I was filming my audio. So the audio cuts may not look like much, but going through them all and finding every single one, like every time you see this white part, it's a cut in the audio that I had to scratch and change. And then this is from a previous audio cut that I had to do on the second half of this video. So each part of the video I had to separately edit in different tabs, and then I just added all of these ones in. So I'm very thankful that this was not a in-person speech presentation, or there would have been a lot of pauses in my speaking, and it would probably have taken me a lot longer than 10 minutes to get 10 minutes worth of video out. So, thank you for watching.